Well, I was waiting on it to kick, but it didn't kick. So we'll just roll with it and y'all can sing it in your head later. How is
Go.
everybody on this Monday, July 14th? Um, we are certainly in the second half of the year. I think we are certainly already got our third quarter started. I feel really optimistic about the third quarter. And we'll fact check all this here in a minute when we get to the stats and numbers. But Manny, how are you?
Doing good. Not only are we feeling, the business going up, but we also feel summer winding down. I see a lot of people taking those last trips with the families or staying. I saw a lot of staycations. So that was
Yeah.
exciting. This weekend was huge for Atlanta, right? All-Star weekend. We got Beyonce still in town, 17 shows in, still going. It's a big one.
Beyonce. I mean, Beyonce
Packed out stadiums. Packed
certainly
out nights. Yeah, it's wild.
knows how to pack a stadium. I
That's
will
it.
tell you, if you had Beyonce tickets and you ran a reverse bold, you would have gotten about 10,000 phone calls. Just FYI, she every now and then somebody comes to town and it's the hot ticket, and we probably should figure out how to double it as marketing opportunities. But I always say it after the concert, Manny. So maybe I need to say it before the concert next time.
We'll get ahead of it. We'll get ahead of it next
All
time.
right. I don't normally start with an article, but I want to start with an article because this article talks about it's on Housing Wire. It says housing inventory actually fell last week. Now, this article was published on the 12th, which was what, Saturday? Um, and I think it's worthy of starting with this article because couple of reasons. One, we're going to fact check it when we go through the numbers. But two, um, I don't know if it's newsworthy or not, but if 4th of July was on a Friday, that creates the 3 day weekend, creates a calendar moment that affects the real estate market, right? And we certainly saw a lead up last week in the numbers, and we're going to see a bounce back this week. So I think it's just kind of newsworthy to kind of show that the housing market does get affected by um, holiday weekends, right? So anyway, let's jump in here. So Fulton County, as you will see, last week the active new active inventory dropped to 883. So that's kind of what they're quoting on the article. Yet we bounced back up to 1335. So if I start scrolling, 1335 is a giant number for Fulton County. I don't even want to keep scrolling. I'm already back into 2024, and we haven't had a single week of a number that big. So that's kind of big newsworthy. And we had 140 go under contract in the last 7 days. That's
Mhm.
a pretty big number. We had a couple weeks that were 170, 160, but by and large, 140 is a very healthy number. So I'm asking myself this question as we're on this call. Is third quarter going to be strong? Now, strong's a relative term, and I think third quarter is going to be healthy. And I'm expecting July, August, and September to be pretty healthy months for real estate sales. And we'll fact check all this as we go through it. Yet, these numbers just right here, Fulton County, already telling me we should expect a pretty healthy third quarter. We're sitting with 235 pending as of this morning. We closed out 236 properties over the last 7 days. Fulton County's got some good numbers this week. DeKalb County, same story. Look at the drop last week, and then a big number this week, 847 new active inventory. And if I start scrolling, same story. I mean, I'm back into 2024, and we haven't had a week with this high of a number in a long time. So is it
Right.
2 week total? Maybe. but it's still a big week of new properties coming on the market. So
One
if you have buyers and they've seen everything, uh, I would certainly be checking the MLS this morning. I certainly would be pinging your active pipeline with property that's coming on. 186 pending and 164 closed out in the last 7 days. DeKalb County,
one
Cobb
thing.
County, same story. Low week,
Check.
holiday weekend, 745 active inventory. Good to see you, Rick Hale.
I had a comment.
All right, go for it.
One thing I noticed, the gap between active and then the actives week over week is that the expireds were extreme. So there was a timing cycle that also landed the end of June, apparently, that popped back on. So if you add the actives for last week into the new list, basically the expireds back into active, that bridges a big chunk of that gap, which tells me people are committed to selling. They may not be all new listings, they could be relists after
Yeah,
expiring, which also means an opportunity to price adjust, which could be more enticing to your buyers in terms of that narrative as well. Because price adjustments are common, obviously, with a relist period.
there you go.
I love this call because of the nerdy side of me, just like my heart is beating so hard. Because, Rick, this is why we have you as a pro on here. That's exactly an incredible thing to notice is how many of those expireds happen, withdrawn, all of that. You want to keep your eye on it. To what Brett just said, not only are we going to see more properties coming on, but you're going to see them relisted with the correct photos, with the correct changes to the properties, updates, upgrades, all of that, right? People are opening up their minds to the seller edge type programs, right? And so we get to use those. And this is what you should be doing to gain those listings that are getting expired because a lot of them, I just got done with one of our top agents in a conversation this morning, and she's getting some of those because she's going, this is what you need to do. The photos were awful. These are the numbers to back up that conversation for y'all.
Yeah,
There
and
you
what
go.
you want is some element of vulnerability on the part of sellers if you're working with buyers. And time on the market or days on market is the number one leveraging tool for a seller to have to wake up in the land of reality that, hey, maybe they're a little mispositioned and priced. And
Yep.
that's leverage to potentially get a decent, a solid quality deal for your buyer. It makes you look like golden.
Yep.
I love it. All right, so Cobb County, 745 on the active, right? Here's that expired number, Rick, you were talking about, 116. Expired end of June. 101 went under contract, 177 pending, and 182 closed out in the last 7 days. These are pretty healthy numbers, yet I want to fact check this. So, Luke, let me hit refresh. So Luke, at the top of, if you go into our stats and you go under Atlanta statistics, these are all our charts, right? But Luke does a monthly summary at the top of it every month. And this kind of is the snapshot of what the market did the previous month, right? So obviously our inventory increased from May. We had a 4.7% increase in inventory. There's almost 12,000 new inventory units added to FMLS in the month of June. Um, there are 1948 single family home starts, so the new construction starts. Yet I want to show this here, homes sold. So I keep asking myself, like, where are we at comparatively? And Rick, you and I talk a lot about this. Like, hey, what are the comparison stats we need to know? So in June, we had almost 7,000 homes sold, but it was a decrease from May. So I always, when I'm looking at the real estate homes sold chart, it's always a bell graph, right? And normally June is always our peak month of the year historically, but it certainly looks like May is going to land as our peak month for 2025. We decreased just a little bit from the total homes sold in May, yet year over year, we're 7.5% more homes sold in June of 2025 than June the previous year. So that's a big increase from what it was last year. And if you remember, what was interest rates in June 2024?
Likely a little higher.
They were way north of 7%.
There you go.
So I do think even 2/10 of a point, or no, yeah, 2/10 of a point interest moves the market. And we're this morning, actually, this was Friday close, it was at 6.82. So if we went from 7.1 to 6.8, I could make a case that that's moving the market, right? And month over month in June, we sold 2.4% less transactions than May. So we were less in June than we were in May, but we're way greater in June this year than we were June last year. What do you make of that?
Progress over perfection. It's uh, to me, I see opportunity.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it takes time. Like we know with habits, right? It takes time to kick those habits, kick that mindset. And I think that's kind of what happened here, right? It took time for the parents that are advising first-time homeowners to wait and wait and wait because they were able to, whatever, and back in their day and all that, that conversation takes a minute to get changed with stats, and that's what we do here. So it's
There
just
you go.
the expert.
All right. Let's hit a couple other articles. So I'm going to give you my best explanation and then please help me with this. So there's three credit unions when somebody buys a house: Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. And then there's this company called FICO that takes the conglomerate of the three credit unions and gives a score. And what happens in the mortgage industry is that score is the industry standard that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac will accept. And so, regardless of what lender does the deal, behind the scenes, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac create the standard of what those loans can be sold for. So there's this movement to try to figure out how to reduce fees, closing cost fees, to a buyer. And there, in theory, it's to help make affordability happen, right? Well, there's always been a rival to the FICO score called Vantage Score. Yet, because Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac would not allow anything but a FICO score to be considered, they kind of had a monopoly on credit, basically. So, what changed this week is the government and Fannie and Freddie will now allow a Vantage score to be used for creditworthiness on the back end of mortgage loans. Do I think it's going to create immense savings to a buyer? I don't, but I do know that competition drives costs down. And I think the government is looking at what they're calling junk fees or closing cost fees to a potential borrower. And how do we reduce those fees to a borrower? Do I think it's going to drastically change affordability? I do not. But it's certainly hit the news cycle, and it's kind of interesting to see that now there's a new scoring mechanism around credit. Uh, I mean, Rick, your son's in mortgage. We talked to a lot of mortgage people. Anybody talking about this?
It hasn't been a hot topic yet, but I just texted him. Ironically, he's on an appointment and can't be on the call. I
Oh,
thought,
okay.
man, we should probably have a resident expert explain the back office and how, either efficiency or cost savings. And it sounds like they're shooting for both in the initiative.
Yeah. Do we have any of our lenders on the call? Well,
See. I know we
maybe
got a
we.
couple that usually come in. I know I've seen Luke, I've seen Mark Van on here, but I will say I think this is like you said, Brett. Will it move the needle fully with affordability? Probably not. But is this something where you come off like the expert? Yes. And my second opinion is don't try to go in more than what Brett just explained, right? Team up with your partner lender. Hopefully the person in your office, team up, do a quick video, let them be the person that you forward them to if they have more questions about this. But it is something you shouldn't be afraid to talk about because this is what you're the expert on.
There you
Yeah.
go.
And in the chat, Mark Jones shared that competition for standard credit bureaus will help prices also. Apparently, normal credit reports have increased over 300% over the last 5 years. So
Yeah.
it sounds like there's a degree of monopolization going on. And now this is going to create fair competition. And that's always a good
It's
thing.
a good thing, right?
Mark Van shared that, by the way, so he gets full credit for enlightenment.
Yeah, and we've got lots of lender partners, but I think this is highly relative to their business, yet it's something for us to be aware of.
Yep.
All right. This article is awesome.
I'm excited about this one, Brett.
Okay.
Yep.
So there's this thing called the lock in effect. And we've talked about this for years. So the lock in effect was I'm a seller, I have a 3% interest rate on my house. I'm not willing to sell my house and move because I'm locked in on this 3% interest rate payment structure. Yet it's really a mindset more than anything else. Yet what the article's talking about is if you really start to track the numbers, it looks like the lock in effect is a thing of the past. Sellers, uh, we talk about the D words death, divorce, diapers, diamonds, all the things that cause life events to happen. They can only hold life at pause for so long. At some point in time, those kids need a bedroom. At some point in time, the divorcees got to sell the house. At some point in time, the newly married couple wants to move out of the parents' basement. You can only hold off for so long, and interest rates where they're at now, the consumer believes that they're there to stay. So, all that to say, the data is telling us that the sellers are coming off the sidelines finally, and certainly seeing it in the inventory numbers. And I see this as a really positive thing for us. Manny, what was exciting about it for you?
Well, I think this is where we're seeing that if you're doing the work, it's going to pay off, right? If you've been doing the work, you're getting to see it, but it's still time to get in the game, right? This is our moment to lead, right? This is the moment to get out there and the buyers are going to show up.
Excuse me,
There's
I
hope.
tried to mute before I sneezed into the microphone. Yeah. Rick, any thoughts?
Right sizing. I love that. It showed up. Who said that? Who said downsizing? Thanks, D. The fifth D might be just downsizing. Could be time to, eliminate wasted space and repurpose that for bigger families now that, obviously kids are moving out. And I heard a term a while back called right sizing, which has nothing to do with the actual physical plan, everything to do with lifestyle. And so at some point, geographic change. I mean, there's some really hot bedroom communities with walkability and the suburban lifestyle may be evolving. So sometimes that conversation may be more about what experience are you after, which you could call right sizing or right purposing.
There you go. I love it. All right. This one's fun. So, little history in the real estate industry. And this is an opinion piece. When uh, internet leads became a thing to the real estate industry, there was a very hot topic around speed to lead. And what the topic meant, or the context behind the topic was, if somebody's online clicking on properties, they're probably clicking on multiple properties or multiple agents. And we used to quote, the data and the research said you had a 5 minute window. You needed to get to that lead before your probability of converting that lead went way down. Well, that's still a thing. There's still a thing about getting to that lead as fast as possible. Yet, this article talks a little bit deeper into this, and he says, the question was, when I started working online leads, I did what most agents were trained to do. I called fast, followed a script, jumped straight into qualifying. I'd ask things like how soon were they looking to move, whether they were pre-approved or if they needed a lender. And depending on the script I was using that day, probably a few more questions I hadn't earned the right to ask. And what he's saying is, did you earn it? And you can read through all this, but he said the real problem wasn't the speed, it was what I did with it. He said we qualified people too early and without value, and we asked for commitment before earning trust. So, do I think speed to lead is still important? Yes. Do I think you need to qualify people? Yes. Um, what he's saying is if you're trying to qualify people over the phone too fast, very scripted, you're damaging trust or you're damaging the relational ability to connect with that client. And so what he's saying is if you can figure out how to be fast and be relational, you'll get to the qualifying faster and ultimately win a higher conversion rate. What do you think of this conversation?
I love it.
All consumers want to buy. No one wants to be sold. I mean, that's the core of what he's trying to say. And in an era where things are flying off the shelves in minutes and seconds and people are fearful of loss, they tend to make panic decisions. And if you're not first, someone else will be. So that's
Yep.
the pretense. The reality is no one wants to be sold. And unless, you come from contribution and add value or get to their why and purpose statement, you really can't fulfill their need. And
Yep.
if you can't fulfill their need, you're selling, you're pushing your agenda, your product, and not their need and opportunity. And so it
Yeah.
just means being quick to be the first on the block, but then stay long enough to be the last guy standing when the opportunity shows up by adding value, creating relationship, and connecting the dots. It's the law of contribution and reciprocity. Always has been, always will be a powerful force.
Yeah, my takeaway was don't be afraid to slow down the script, show up, but slow down the script and level up the relationship. I think that was the biggest takeaway from this article and show up with value.
Perfect.
Exactly.
In a need to know, I see Ken Liberty on the call. It's probably over in your backyard here, Ken. I'm not sure, but they're converting Atlanta apartments into affordable housing in Northwest Atlanta. So it's at 12th and James Luxury Apartments. And it's just a need to know informational piece. The local investment firm and housing solution nonprofit slated to bring more affordable housing in Northwest Atlanta. Um, they're in collaboration. This community lies about 6 miles west of Georgia Tech at the interstate or the intersection of James Jackson Parkway and Northwest Drive. They're targeting affordable housing loans from Freddie Mac. And I love this because anytime a city develops, uh, and we love as real estate agents selling luxury real estate and high price real estate and the evolution of real estate over time, yet it does create challenges in a city when you don't have people living in the city that work in the city. And affordability, as we all know, is a challenge, right? And so when the city and developers do projects like this, I think it's a really healthy thing to bring some affordability back to the city. Ken, I'm putting you on the spot. Are you aware of this or
I am, and there's multiple of those kind of going on around the city with, Atlanta trying to tackle affordable homes.
yeah.
Yep.
Any noteworthy comments?
No, I think it's great. I mean, it's providing another solution for affordable homes, more condos and townhomes and single families. It's certainly another option to consider and have in your back pocket.
I love it. All right. Matt Pitch, you here?
I am here.
All right. I'm going to give you screen sharing authority.
Oh boy.
And what we are doing is we bring all this data and all these articles and all this stuff. And what we're starting to do is we want to bring social media strategy to do something with the information we bring to you. So Matt did this, I think, a week ago, or and you did it this morning as well. So Matt, take it away. You got 4 minutes.
Yes, sir. I did this 14 minutes ago. But yeah, each week, so I'm going to share my screen. Can you guys see that, Brett? Thumbs up.
Yep.
All
It's
right, so each week we're going to take these articles that we are going over as a group, and transparently, we're going to put them together for you and give you little hook lines and scripts that you can go out and share in the social media outlets. So we're trying to make this as easy as possible on you to actually take action. So I think we give you tons of information here, which is great. How do we give you that organized and applicable so that you can go out and show off the world and be the economist of choice is our whole goal here.
So
So
what's the first one? Give me a quick role play on the first one.
oh, okay. So rule number one, the seller comeback. So it gives you a hook. So you look right into the camera and say something like, all right, real talk, our seller's finally waking up, right? And then you cut that up. This is why we go to our social media classes, but I've seen many of you do it before. We say in the middle, new data just dropped, more sellers are listing again for the first time in months. Why it matters. We've been in this inventory chokehold, and now there's a movement. And then at the end, we always give what a call to action. It gives you your call to action. If you've been waiting to buy or sell, this might be the shift you've needed. Direct message me for hyper local updates. So our whole goal is for you to show up authentically, but have ideas and take some of the rub that you can use this exact material you're getting for the first 25 minutes today and go out and show it off in the universe, hopefully create more deals, more value for your people who are all over social media. We hope you find that useful. We will take feedback. We will take ideas. We will make this better. But again, I'm all about information, but I think organization and application is what you guys really need. And I hope this helps.
I love this. Thank you so much for, one of the fun things about our group is we are a collective of just incredible minds. But if we never put them all together on a call like this and get the wisdom of everybody, whether it was Rick's comment or Matt's video ad, or Manny, your commentary, or Ken, your local knowledge of Northwest Atlanta, that's what makes us all great together. And I just am really proud to be a part of it.
There are apps too, to Matt's point, we're going to be providing these, but there's apps that work like teleprompters. You put the info and record yourself while reading, y'all. So research that. I'm going to add, they're numbered incorrectly because I know we're low on time here, but I'm adding the names on here so you can check them out on the
Uh,
chat.
and Brett,
Boom.
always drop it in the chat. If you tell me a better way, I would really like for our people here who show up every day, all 85 of them on Monday, to have access to this. I think that's the best way to give it to them. It's going to be in the chat box, but if there's another way, I'm happy to send that out too.
We're evolving, but I like to bring value for those that show up to the call. So there you go. All right, my guy friends, y'all have a good one.
All
thanks,
right.
guys.
Good
Take
one.
care.
And
All right,
girlfriend.
bye-bye.